What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Fourth and Frames, the redraft, the weekly, the something podcast here at fantasyandframes.com. We haven't quite figured out what to call it other than the flagship podcast because it's the very first podcast here at Fantasy and Frames. So we'll go with that for now. I'm your host, Jorge Edwards, and with me this week, we got Tyler Heil as usual. How you doing, Tyler?
I am wonderful. You already got this evening started off well with Dynasty 365. So yeah, man, I'm excited.
Nice. If you visit our YouTube channel, you'll go over there and you'll see Dynasty 365 is available on video, as well as you head over to wherever it is you listen to podcasts, subscribe to the Dynasty 365 podcast. And somebody who is joining you on Dynasty 365 a few minutes ago is Bill Mustafa, one of our writers here over in the UK. Bill, how you doing, man?
Yeah, doing good. Still riding high off that Sunday night win. Looking forward to talking football.
You know, it's funny. You're our resident Bills fan here, and our resident Chiefs fan, Nate Markham, who's usually here joining us, conveniently, or is tied up at work this evening and can't make it to the show, or maybe running late. Go figure, Nate, that you couldn't make it today, out of all days. That's okay. We'll see Nate later on Shoot the Gap, our IDP podcast here at fantasyandframes.com and on the Fantasy and Frames podcast network. But as we do every week here at Fourth and Frames, we're going to give you some news and notes from around the league, and then we're just going to dive into our plays and fades for you so you get ready for your upcoming matchups. Start and sit articles will go out tomorrow afternoon, so look forward to that for both offense and IDP. And of course, we got our fantasy football upside articles and our IDP fantasy football upside articles. And then we have less with fantasy football FYI. Got a lot of written content for you to read here. And if you don't like reading and you like pictures, head over to our Instagram page. We put everything in picture form that we have here in article content. So however you want to look at it, whether you want to watch us on YouTube or see the pictures on Instagram or read our articles, do all that at Fantasy and Frames. Head over to fantasyandframes.com today. And with that, let's get into some news and notes. Tyler, take it away.
All right. So we got a few here. Lamar Jackson was limited in practice today. Not really concerned with that. Mark Andrews did not participate in practice today. Again, it's Wednesday. Not super concerned with that. Talk to me on Friday if he is still a DNP, and then I will be a little concerned. But that guy, neither one of them really needs to practice on a Wednesday.
Yeah, I feel like these are guys that they'll be okay. It should be. Yeah, exactly. Just some rest. If it was really that big of an issue, we probably would have heard about it yesterday, even though there was no practice yesterday, because it would have been like, oh, well, there were reports that they're feeling bad. They may not even practice on Wednesday. You didn't hear that. I agree with you. They should be good to go. But stay tuned. You never know. We have our 4-eyed pregame show here on Sunday mornings, where, of course, we'll be giving you up-to-date information heading into Week 1's Sunday lineup. What else you got for us, Tyler?
And just as a note with the Andrews thing, if he is still a DNP tomorrow, maybe go pick up Isaiah Likely off your waiver wire, just in case.
Very smart idea.
Jameis Winston does not have an injury designation for the Thursday night game. Not quite sure what's going on with that.
He's got no wide receivers, so
he does not. So Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry are out again. They've officially been ruled out, but Olave should be up. But Dennis Allen has not named a starter. So I feel like they're kind of okay with Andy Dalton.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's pathetic is what that is. That's a tough situation. Obviously, we're learning, though, as the season goes on, that Olave is kind of quarterback proof. He'll get his targets. He'll get his fantasy points. So I don't think you have to worry about there. I guess another question here is, with the subpar quarterback play, what are we doing with Kamara? How are we feeling about Alvin Kamara just on the season as a whole and heading into this matchup versus Arizona?
Fire him up.
Yeah, if he's healthy, not concerned. Yeah.
Okay. He's a top 10 running back. He's getting almost 20 carries a game. He's getting 5, 6, 7, 8 targets a game. He's a top 10 running back.
There you go.
Yeah, I agree.
Next up, Marquise Brown out indefinitely, but it's going to be at least a month. So that kind of sucks. That might have been fun to see Kyler with DeAndre Hopkins and Marquise Brown on the field, but we are not
He's
going to
only
be able to
allowed-
see that.
He's only allowed one good receiver at a time.
Yeah, that's it.
It's the rules.
Are you saying Rondale Moore isn't good?
I was about to say Greg George, but that's a better wide receiver to name there, Tyler.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. James Conner is out again for tomorrow night's game. So, Benjamin, you can probably fire him up. I was a little more excited about him last week, and then I quickly remembered that Cliff Kingsbury is the coach of the Cardinals.
Yes.
Next, Dak is medically cleared to play. He should be back on Sunday. So that is stock up for CeeDee Lamb, stock up for Michael Gallup, maybe stock up for Dalton Schultz.
I think stock up for everybody.
All of them.
And even Pollard, obviously, who I think is totally outperformed Zeke. But even for Zeke this week, let's put it like this. Zeke this past week against Philadelphia actually had like a somewhat decent game. He got you that touchdown. He got you, 50 yards or something. And that was against a horrible, horrible matchup in a horrible, horrible game. Now you're getting one of the highest scoring offenses in all of football, the Detroit Lions, words I never thought I'd say out loud. Again, going against Dak Prescott in this offense, this is going to be a amazing game. Fire all your Cowboys up.
Yeah. Detroit can't stop the run either. So this might be a big Zeke game.
Yeah.
We shall see. Kenny Pickett, full participant, if I could talk, in practice. I believe he still needs to clear the concussion protocol, but being a full participant on Wednesday is good news for that. PJ Walker will start another week for the Panthers. Who cares?
Give me Sam Darnold. I want Sam Darnold as my quarterback in Carolina because I want DJ Moore to be relevant again.
Just run the Wildcat with CMC. Just do that.
Yeah.
Just a Wildcat.
Just the Wildcat with CMC.
I hope they trade CMC. That would be awesome.
Yeah, if you haven't seen already, get over to Tyler's Twitter page, FF Tyler Heil. He put out a great thread talking about the intricacies and dynamics of what a trade for CMC would actually entail, right down to the salary cap information. It's a great thread. Great job, Tyler. So head over to his Twitter bio today, FF Tyler Heil.
Thank you. Melvin Gordon had a good conversation. That's what the tweet said. A good conversation with head coach Nathaniel Hackett, and he will start this week. And apparently Latavius Murray will not get all of the carries. Are you guys really concerned about Melvin Gordon or Latavius Murray or Mike Boone?
I'm more concerned with Hackett. Doesn't seem to know what he's doing. Like, how do you take touches away from Javonte Williams, but you can't take touches away from Mike Boone? I don't get it. I don't understand.
Yeah, I think everyone's on the same page with you there.
What?
Do you see every week they show a Broncos game on primetime, how they always cut to the new owners box where it's like, yes, they just paid X billion amount of dollars, so it's the most expensive purchase in a professional sports thing, and you just see like the disgust on their faces. Like you can just tell every week they're like, what the fuck did we just do?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
That whole organization is an enigma, and staying on the same path with that organization, Russell Wilson has a hamstring injury that they're saying is fairly serious, but he's probably
they're trying to get
going
him out of the
play
lineup.
through it.
Oh yeah,
Bench him.
yeah. 2 weeks ago it was, he has a bad shoulder blade, and then now it's like I got a hamstring, and it's. Did you see the video they posted yesterday where it was after the game? He's like in the hallway giving high fives to everybody as they're coming back into the locker room, and like every single person is like not even high fiving him; they're just walking right past him. Like nobody was showing this man any love after the game, and this is the biggest Russell Wilson news that he's had all season. For the first time after ending a press conference, he didn't say Broncos country, let's ride.
Maybe he's broke a curse. Maybe it'll be good this week.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, quick quiz. Who's the Broncos backup?
Oh my god.
Kendall Hilton.
No.
Yeah. Back up. I have no idea.
I don't
Who is
know.
it?
It is Brett Rippon.
Oh,
Oh,
son
wow.
of Hall of Famer Mark Rippon. Interesting.
Yes, yeah, he he was their third string quarterback last year, and I guess I automatically assumed I'm like, oh, they went and got someone else to be Russell's backup. No, they didn't. They
They
sure
really
didn't.
went all in on Russ, didn't they?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Damn.
pretty. It's pretty bad, man. It's pretty bad. Don't know really what to say. I have a few shares of Russell Wilson here as my starting quarterback that I am really regretting right about now. Something that I guarantee you guys you will not regret is if your state or province or country or what have you allows for DFS gambling and prop bets. Underdog Fantasy is the ultimate site here you want to go to. So many player props per game, per player, you name it. All you have to do is, I think, place 4 props in a game or for a player. That's it. And they give you like 20 to pick from. So it's really pick and choose whatever you want to do. If you use the promo code FRAMES when you sign up, you get a 100% match up to $100. It's a lot of fun. I love going on Underdog each week and making my player props and winning a few bucks on the side. So it's a lot of fun. You know, you listen to all our podcasts, you listen to fantasy football content, you read fantasy football content, you absorb fantasy football content. Why don't you take some of that information and put it to some good use and win you some money each and every week? So head over to Underdog Fantasy, use the promo code FRAMES, get a 100% match up to $100. And with that, let's go over our plays and fades segment. We get right to the point here at Fourth and Frames. We want to tell you the players that we're feeling pretty confident in, and players we're thinking maybe you should temper your expectations for. And how it works is very simple. When we're talking about plays, we're talking about quarterbacks outside the top 12, running backs and wide receivers outside the top 24, tight ends outside of the top 10 in half PPR. When we're talking about fades, we're talking about the opposite. We're talking about quarterbacks within the top 12, wide receivers and running backs within the top 24, tight ends within the top 10, just to give you an idea of who we think is overvalued or undervalued. So with that, let's get going. We give you about 2 players per position, give or take, depending on how well we filled out our show sheet before the show, or how many options there are to be played, however you want to look at it. I'll go first. I'll take the quarterback position here for my plays. This is, again, quarterbacks outside the top 12. And I'll go right there at QB 13, Jimmy Garoppolo versus the Chiefs. The Chiefs are giving up the 3rd most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. Their pass rush unit, according to Pro Football Focus, is one of the is not horrible. It's not great. It's like the purgatory of pass rush units. So again, something you're not really too worried about there in terms of Garoppolo and his time to throw the ball. The most important thing here for the 49ers is that they finally found a way to get George Kittle more involved last week, and that paid dividends. Granted, the game script was facing, which to say that they were in a negative game script against the Atlanta Falcons it's crazy to say, but they were. Something tells me that this is going to be a shootout. This is going to be a Kittle versus Kelsey game, rematch from the Super Bowl, except they're actually going to be producing a lot of points versus the Super Bowl a couple seasons ago. So this should be a good game either way. And with Garoppolo having all of his weapons back, sans Elijah Mitchell, this should be a really, really good game this week. So fire him up. Especially, honestly, I could see him finish as a top 12 quarterback this week. Definitely somebody you want to have as your QB2 in Superflex or QB2 leagues if he's available, if you have him, and or want to make a roster move because, hey, it's that time of year where people are making trades left and right. Just because, monotony is a dull thing. And so that's one quarterback play. The next one, I don't really need to go too in depth about, which is ironic because he's probably the quarterback that most of you want to hear more in depth analysis about. But I'm not going to give you that. I'm going to tell you, Bailey Zappi.
Yeah.
The backup.
Well, I was starting then.
He's starting versus the Chicago Bears on Monday Night Football. The Bears are allowing, again, middle of the road fantasy points per game, but their pass rushing unit is dead last in the NFL. The Patriots pass blocking and run blocking units are, the top of the league. This is going to be if Zappi is playing, he is a must start. I think this week. I know it's bold, it's really bold, but he is playing lights out. He's been getting better each and every week since that first game in Green Bay. Played very well last week. Got you 18 fantasy points. I just think this is This is a no-brainer. Belichick, he has his formula. He has his running back. He has his quarterback. He has, middling tight ends, and he has a good run blocking offensive line and pass blocking offensive line. So I'm really high on Zappe this week. So give me Garoppolo and Bailey Zappe.
Bailey Zappe, Tom Brady, Mac Jones is Drew Bledsoe. how do you feel about that one?
Yeah.
I hope not.
Too much? Too quick?
Exactly. What we got going on at running back here, Tyler?
All right. So, a couple of the plays that I have for this week. One of them I feel like is a no-brainer, and we actually just talked about him on Dynasty 365. It's Tony Pollard at home against the Detroit Lions. Lions currently 7th in fantasy points given up to the running back, and that is with one less game than all of the teams except for the Texans in front of them have. So the Lions, just not a very good defense right now. The Cowboys' offensive line playing surprisingly well, a lot better than most people thought they would. Tyler Smith is playing really well at left tackle for a rookie. PFF has them graded as dead center. They are the number 15 offensive line unit in the NFL right now, which coming into the season, if you told everyone that they have the number 15 offensive line unit, people probably wouldn't believe you. Pollard-wise, he's maintaining his split with Zeke. It's like basically an even snap share, or not an even snap share. I'm sorry. It's an even split every week. Zeke is about 60%. Pollard is about 45%. Pollard is getting the bulk of the receiving work. He's getting between 12 to 15 touches a game. So that is plenty of volume, especially for a guy like Tony Pollard, who is constantly a threat to break off a long run, which could very well happen against this Detroit Lions team this week. And honestly, the Cowboys have a get-right game this week for their running game. They've had 2 tough matchups in a row. They played the Rams, they played the Eagles, and they have a little chaser with the Lions here. So I feel really good about Pollard being a mid-range RB2 this week. So I would feel confident firing him up in your RB2 spot.
Nice.
Next up is, I'm going a little deeper here. So obviously you shouldn't be starting him over anyone like Tony Pollard, but I'm feeling pretty good about Rachaad White in Tampa Bay. White saw his opportunity dip a bit last week. I'm willing to write that game off. That was just a weird loss to a bad Steelers team, an 18-20 loss. And yeah, again, I'm just willing to write it off and pretend like it didn't happen. Before that, Rachaad White was seeing a increase in his volume and snaps. He was in about the teens the first few weeks. Then he went up to 25. Then he went up 30. Then he started sniffing 40% of snaps. And even without that snap share, he's been getting passing game work. He has 13 targets total in the last 3 weeks. He's seen 8 opportunities in each of the past 3 weeks. So they're getting him work. And playing Carolina, I feel like he has a good opportunity to have a nice game. They aren't afraid to use him in the red zone. It's not a lot, but it's a lot for a guy who has as low volume as him. He has 2 carries inside the 5. So that tells me that they are confident in Rachaad White. They're willing to put him in on the goal line. They're willing to pass him the ball. So I think they're looking to reduce Leonard Fournette's volume a bit and really bring Rachaad White into this offense. So I would feel confident throwing him in as maybe a emergency flex.
Nice. Let's go to the wide receiver position. Bill, what do you got for us, man?
I've got one guy. It's
Okay.
pretty tough for wide receivers this week. With a lot of the good passing offenses on bye weeks, pushed everybody up. But I like Robert Woods this week. He's regularly sort of being targeted sort of 8-9 times a game. Averaging 4 receptions a game last 4 matchups. He scored 1 touchdown this season, and that was on the Indianapolis Colts. Now, Kenny Moore, the slot receiver, the nickel corner in Indy, is struggling. I think he's allowed on average a touchdown a game this year. I think it's 5 or 6 touchdowns he's let up in his coverage. So what I looked at was the Titans they started the season playing rookie Carl Phillips as their slot, but that they seem to have got away from that now. And what it looks like they're doing is rotating between Robert Woods, Westbrook Akina, and Traylon Burks in between who's outside and who's in the slot. So they're almost used interchangeably. I wouldn't be surprised if the Titans, they say, right, Robert Woods is our best receiver. Kenny Moore seems to be the soft spot on that Indy defense. We're going to target him with Robert Woods playing in the slot. I'm not expecting huge points, but I think it could be a kind of game where 8 targets, 4 or 5 receptions, 50 yards and a touchdown. Which, if you're struggling with some guys on bye weeks and you need a fill-in, I think Robert Woods could do a good job.
Nice.
like
We'll
it.
finish. We'll go with tight ends here. Gonna go Hayden Hurst, revenge game 2 against the former team in the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons team that are allowing the 4th most fantasy points to tight ends on the season. Hurst, he is the tight end 12 overall in half PPR scoring. He had a bad matchup last week. New Orleans is notoriously good at stopping tight end production. Their linebacking core is great at getting to the middle of the field and stopping those passes and those receptions from piling up. So again, tough matchup. Not that this week. So look for Hayden Hurst to get into the end zone again this week and getting a little redemption against the Atlanta Falcons with Cincinnati this week. Second guy is Mike Gesicki. Normally this wouldn't be a great matchup against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is actually middle of the road when it comes to allowing fantasy points per game to the tight end position. But with Tua potentially coming back this week, and he loves his wide receivers, he loves Waddle, he loves Tyreek Hill, and I want to say that Pittsburgh is one of the best matchups for wide receivers or opposing wide receivers here. I just see this as a situation where the wide receiver targets kind of help spread the defense out a little bit more. Miles Jack, one of the inside linebackers for Pittsburgh, is dealing with an injury, so we don't know if he's playing. I just see this as an opportunity where Gesicki, he may not get you the yardage totals, he may not get you the 20-something points last week, but given how thin the tight end position is, all he needs to do is just get you a touchdown and get you 8 or 9 points, and he's a top 12 tight end for the week, which, as scarce as those points are for the tight end position, I think you can bank on that with Mike Gesicki. So give me Hayden Hurst and Mike Gesicki this week. With that, let's go into our fades. I'll go right here to Trevor Lawrence, the Giants, 14.7. That's the amount of points they allow on average to the quarterback position this season. The New York Giants, man, they're for real. I hate to say it, but they seem pretty for real. The defense has been playing lights out. Wink Martindale and his blitzing scheme there. Nate, obviously, who should be here and knows a lot more about defensive schemes here, but Julian Love, the linebackers they have them there, Kayvon Thibodeau, everything is clicking for the Giants on defense, which is bad news for Trevor Lawrence. Whatever magic the Jaguars had earlier in the season is slowly starting to fade away. James Robinson's not being as productive. Travis Etienne's not being utilized as much. Christian Kirk is kind of like the saving grace there, but that makes him one-dimensional. And against this defense, I just don't see Trevor Lawrence having much success this week. And I mentioned Trevor Lawrence because he is currently the QB 12 on the season, going now with Geno Smith, who is the quarterback 7. I love Geno. Everybody loves Geno. The only Geno I don't like is in Philadelphia when it comes to cheesesteaks, because I'm a Pats person, not a Geno's person. For those who understand the reference, you know what I'm talking about. Sorry if I offended you, Geno's cheesesteak patrons. Going against the Chargers this week. Look, the Chargers, this defense has just been very off. The pass rush has been very unbalanced without Joey Bosa there. Has been actually more balanced, I should say, with Joey Bosa there. Khalil Mack has been on a tear lately. Nasir Adderley at the safety position has been playing lights out. Drew Tranquil has been getting to the quarterback, applying a lot of pressures. He got a sack this past week against Russell Wilson of all quarterbacks on Monday Night Football. So I just see this as kind of like a A blah game for Geno Smith versus the Chargers. Chargers defense is sneaky good in terms of preventing fantasy production. So give me, or don't give me rather, Geno Smith and Trevor Lawrence this week.
I like it. All right. So running backs, jump into these. This is getting harder, man. I feel like it's at the beginning of the season. If I go and pick games against the spread, I feel like I do really well. Like for the first 4 weeks of the season, I can pick around maybe a 55% clip.
Right.
And then Vegas figures it out. And I'm picking at like 25 or 30%. And I feel like that's where we're at with the running back rankings now. Like first month of the season, I was seeing these guys in the top 24. I'm like, oh, they shouldn't be there. They definitely shouldn't be there. And now they have the values figured out. So
right.
That is a very long way of saying I don't love a lot of these fades, but one I do feel pretty confident about is DeAndre Swift. He's currently the RB15 in Fantasy Pros ECR. They are playing the Cowboys. Never a good day to play the Cowboys defense right now. They're one of the better teams in the league against the running back position in reference to fantasy points allowed. And on top of that, DeAndre Swift is coming off an injury that has had him miss near a month worth of games if he plays. And if he does play, he will likely be on a I think this was making you mad, Jorge. He'll likely be on a pitch count.
Stop it. It's not baseball. Snap count. He's on his low snap count.
So Swift will likely be on a snap count. And even before that, when he was playing, Jamal Williams he was stealing a lot of his work. It was a committee there, and Swift was the clear leader of it. But if he does play, I think that will flip a bit this week as he gets healthy, and it'll be a committee with Jamal Williams taking the lead. And add on to that, they're playing the Cowboys. I don't feel confident about that. I would be looking elsewhere. Sometimes you're not going to be able to find it, but I would look elsewhere from DeAndre Swift. Next one, I had to go a little further down the rankings for this one, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire at running back 22. Same thing that you said with the Jags, Jorge. Whatever magic CEH had earlier in the season, it seems to be gone. Those fluky pass receiving touchdowns have dissipated. And on top of that, they're playing the 49ers in San Francisco, who are the best unit in the NFL against running back fantasy points allowed. I do not want to play Clyde Edwards-Helaire this week. Without that receiving touchdown, Jerick McKinnon is getting just as many snaps as him. Isaiah Pacheco is starting to see more rushing game work. No running back in Kansas City makes me feel confident right now, and certainly not RB22 levels of confidence. So I will pass on CEH this week if I can.
Let me ask you a question too, Tyler, about CEH. If you were, trying to trade him away, okay, what would you, as the person who's trading away CEH, want in return that's reasonable? Like, what do you reasonably think you could get?
Oh man! All right, are we talking running back for?
Running back for running back. Yeah,
give me Tony Pollard over Clyde Edwards-Helaire. If someone will do that trade straight up, I'll do it.
Nice.
Yeah,
love it. Cool. All right, let's go to wide receiver. Bill, who are you fading at wide receiver this week?
For me, my first fade, Courtland Sutton. I don't trust any of the Denver Broncos wide receivers. Not until I need to see it before I'm going to start any of these guys with any confidence, unless I'm forced into it. Courtland Sutton last week, 3 targets, 2 receptions, 14 yards, and he's looking like he's going to be up against Sauce Gardner, who coming into the league looks like straight off the bat a top 5 corner as a rookie. I don't like Courtland Sutton's chance. He's not going to be able to, dominate Sauce physically. He's not going to be able to beat him over the top. He's got a quarterback that doesn't want to let routes develop and wants to go underneath. I just think it's going to be a quiet day for Courtland Sutton. And unless I have to start him due to bye weeks and injuries, he's going to be riding the pine on my fantasy team bench. Next up, it's Deontay Johnson, which pains me to say. I love Deontay Johnson. I think he was so good for me last year in many leagues, but it looks like Kenny Pickett's going to start. Kenny Pickett doesn't seem to have that natural connection with Deontay Johnson that he has with fellow rookie George Pickens. There just doesn't seem to be something working there. We haven't seen Deontay Johnson score a touchdown yet this season. He's only had one game with over 60 receiving yards. And I think if we get Pickett, then Pickens is going to be first man up, and Deontay Johnson's going to be the guy who looks to second or third after Najee Harris out the backfield. And if it is Mitch Trubisky, we saw his connection with Chase Claypool last week, the end of the game with the Tampa Bay Bucks, and there's no reason to think that won't continue if Trubisky's the starter. So I feel like no matter who starts at quarterback for the Steelers, he's going to be second or third guy in the rotation, and I just don't want to start that again unless I'm forced to.
Well, I love it. Love those picks. For me at tight end, I'm going to go. So we start off with the one for Thursday Night Football. He's the tight end 3, according to Fantasy Pros ECR. That's Zach Ertz. I don't know if you guys have heard, but DeAndre Hopkins is back in town. And so whatever target volume that was saving Zach Ertz's fantasy upside, that's going to kind of go away next week. Not to mention this week or tomorrow, I should say, as we were recording on Wednesday. Facing the New Orleans Saints, allowing the second fewest fantasy points to position, just like I said with Hayden Hurst. Again, bad matchup. Great linebackers for the Saints, who can play in coverage very well and shut down the middle of the field. So that takes away a lot of Zach Ertz's upside. And again, the targets shifting away from him to DeAndre Hopkins. I think, regardless of the fact that maybe Hopkins is going to be the number one guy that everybody's going to be keying on, I still think Kyler Murray is going to force feed targets his way because, I mean, who else is he going to throw it to? And I just see this being something that, for a tight end 3 for the week, that seems a little bit excessive there for Zach Ertz. So I would fade him in his output this week. Another tight end that I'm kind of fading here is TJ Hawkinson, Dallas. Again, the 6th fewest points per game, 6.1 points per game, to tell you what the stats say. What's really impressive about the Dallas Cowboys defense, aside from the resurgence of Leighton Vander Esch at linebacker, is the fact that when Jaron Kearse, their starting strong safety, came back from injury, they still utilized Donovan Wilson, who was his replacement for those few weeks. Both of these safeties are some of the top graded safeties in all of football, according to PFF. They're great. They play closer to the line of scrimmage, middle of the field. And the Cowboys are utilizing a lot of 3 safety sets with Malik Hooker, Donovan Wilson, and Jaron Kearse, which means just trouble for tight ends because normally they go after the running backs. They assist in the run game as well as help to take away some of the tight end production. So I definitely see this being a wide receiver focused attack here for Detroit and trying to utilize as much of the running game as they can. But again, that's going to be tough, as Tyler was mentioning with DeAndre Swift. And I just see them taking away Hawkinson. So I would fade in Hawkinson as your tight end 9. Again, what am I saying here when I'm saying fading tight end? Tight end is such a unique position because, I say a tight end is going to get you 7 points, and that can be, 7 points versus 7.5 points. And that could be the difference between a tight end 9 and a tight end 13. So at this point in the season, or at this point in general in fantasy football, unless you're playing in a tight end premium league, you just take whatever you can get at the tight end position if you don't have a Andrews or a Kelsey.
All right. Jorge, let me jump in and throw out some guys that might be on your waiver wire as options that you could start over TJ Hawkinson this week.
All right.
Robert Tonyan.
Green Bay versus Washington. Would I do that? Mm-hmm. Yes, against Washington, absolutely.
Would you do Hayden Hurst, your play?
Yes.
Taysom Hill.
We're waiting for that
one. No, I wouldn't start Taysom Hill. I wouldn't chase that.
All right.
Performance.
Last one. Daniel Bellinger.
Man, there are a lot of Giants fans who like the show, who like Daniel Bellinger. Not yet.
Okay.
Getting there, but not yet.
Did you see his snap share from last week?
It's pretty ridiculous.
I think it was 86.
Yeah, he's definitely somebody who's on the rise as Daniel Jones is
Oh
growing.
no, it was 94. I'm sorry.
Oh, excuse me, even better. Nice. Yeah, definitely Tony this week. Although there's rumors that not rumors, there's fact that Aaron Rodgers did not practice today. There's, again, it's Wednesday. We don't know. But if he doesn't play, I think that actually bumped Tunyon's output potentially up even more just because you have the inexperienced quarterback. I totally forget who the backup quarterback is in Green Bay. I know
Jordan Love, man.
Jordan Love. I know. That's how bad it is. That's how bad he played a couple seasons ago. Like I just can't. I just doesn't process with me anymore.
It's the
He's
future.
Like, you're dead. Yeah, future of something. Anyhow, that's going to wrap us up here at Fourth and Frames. Again, head over to fantasyandframes.com tomorrow afternoon for our starts and sits on offense and IDP. If you have any questions at all, whether it be for redraft or dynasty or what have you, reach out to, first and foremost, Bill Mustafa, who's joining us on 2 cups of an incredibly strong espresso over in the UK at Bill_Mustafa. Tyler at FF Tyler Heil, me at Jorge B. Edwards. And of course, if you want to reach out to us as a group at Fantasy and Frames on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, you can find all of our content there. Again, if you have any questions, reach out to us. We're always going to be there. Ask us your start sit questions. Don't forget to join all of us, or at least as most of us as possible, on the pregame show that we have on Sunday mornings starting at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. And we kind of have been going all the way to 12:30. So we're answering a lot of start and sit questions, and we're going through every game talking about the fantasy relevant players. And we're loving the interaction that we're getting from you all. So please keep that going. Head over to YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, check out our rankings over at fantasyandframes.com, as well as all of our article content we have going on over there. So with that, I'm Jorge. So for Bill, Tyler, thank you very much for joining. And for the rest of you, good luck in your matchups this week.